Welcome to What It Takes, a podcast built to provide valuable insights for people just like you. Here we discuss industry-specific details of what it takes to navigate a journey of professional success from those that have already done it. We're not here to be vague. We're here to get to the nitty-gritty of it all. And today we're going to get to the nitty-gritty of what it takes to build your own pest control company with our guest, Thomas Beatty. Tom, tell us a little bit about Thomas.
Yeah, that's going to get confusing this entire time, so hang in there. Thomas is from Snowflake, Arizona. He likes sports, reading, guitar, religion, going to the movies with his wife. Thomas is one of 12 children.
Holy sheesh.
But him and his wife have 2 girls and 1 little boy on the way and another 9 shortly thereafter. Thomas lives in Youngsville, North Carolina. His pest control company is out of Raleigh, North Carolina, not too far. Got licensed in February 2022, but officially started May of 2022. So again, he's the co-owner and he works full-time on sales for the company. They have 6 employees, but are getting ready to hire at least 2 more within the next couple of weeks. And they're projected to do $1.4 million for this fiscal year. And they currently have 1,000 accounts. Pretty impressive and very fast, rapid growth here, Thomas. So I'm ready to get into it. But first off, man, appreciate you jumping on with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Love the logo here. Let me see that logo up there. Or maybe Dawson.
Oh, yeah.
You want to pull up his logo, Kind Pest Control?
Kind Pest Control, yep.
Nice, dude.
Outfit
and everything.
I love the name, and I know we're going to get into that, but why not go ahead and ask, why Kind Pest Control?
Yeah, so it actually took us a while. We had a lot of different ideas, but we just felt like with the guys that we have that really kind of embodied our whole kind of mission, just everything, it just kind of sums it up. We think it's important to be kind. We hire kind people. We feel all of us owners are really kind, which is kind of what pulled us together. And so that's why we wanted to do kind with the period. Like, that's all that matters. We're a service-based company, so we want to be kind to our customers, take good care of them. Plus, on the service side of things, it's environmentally kind, it's family and pet kind. So tough on the bugs, but really easy on everything else.
I feel like we should have been recording so we could get like a good commercial from that. Like, boom, Thomas Beatty, Kind Pest Control, right? No, I think that's really important. And maybe you can speak to that. Was that a tough thing to find in coming up with the name of your company?
Yeah, so figuring out your name, it's tough. It's like naming a child, but you have to decide with your business partners because it's going to be kind of your whole identity from that point forward. So you got to think like in the long run, like, is your name going to be something that's scalable if you want to scale? If you're going to open the possibility to pivoting to other things, maybe related to what you start out doing, or maybe just completely unrelated. Like, is it something that you can use in other facets as well? So you have to just kind of have at least like the kind of an end goal in mind to know if your name is going to kind of suit with everything that you want it to do. But the process itself was kind of a longer thing. It took us a few weeks, probably about a month, kind of going back and forth of deciding what we wanted to do. And then we had to figure out the design, how we want it to look. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it all took a long time, but we finally got all the artwork and everything done with the colors and everything.
So give me a lean then. As you thought about your brand and your name, did you lean more towards, hey, does this represent us? Because you talked about scalability and application, but when I read kind, I don't think pest control, right? Now you have Kind Pest Control by that kind of first word. Did you lean more towards, hey, let's represent something that represents a good company? Or were you truly thinking, hey, how can we apply this to pest control?
Yeah, so we wanted to kind of stand out, obviously, in a market that has a lot of different pest controls. We wanted to try to set ourselves apart. And we felt that our greatest advantage that we had was our human capital. We had all been tried and tested over about a decade, sometimes for some of us longer than that. And we felt like that was our greatest asset, our greatest thing that kind of stands out. It's just the people that we have. So we wanted to kind of accentuate that. We feel like with a service-based company like what we are, if people feel like you're kind and you're responsive and things like that, you put the customer first, they will kind of gravitate towards you and it'll be easier to scale. So the identity is kind of a really big thing, picking your brand, picking your name. It has to kind of sum up real quick kind of what your mission is and who you are as a company. And we felt like Kind Pest Control did it.
And you mentioned
cool.
we a bunch. How many business partners do you have?
Yeah, so originally there were 3 of us, and then we just recently added a 4th. So there's 4 total business owners, all best buds of mine, like brothers.
I was waiting for you to be like, there were 3, and then we went down to 2. But
that happens.
Okay,
yeah.
it's good to hear you added. Which I'll ask a follow up on that. Go ahead, Keaton.
So what was harder, picking the name of your business with your business partners, or picking the name of your children with your wife?
The business, I think. The business,
okay.
Sure, because your wife controls the name. We all know this.
That's
Come
right.
on,
Yeah, that's right.
We have children. Are you kidding me? I could be like, look, I tried to name my first son Thor, God of Thunder. You know how fast that got shot down? Immediately.
It's a cool name, though.
It's a very cool name. Okay, I got a question with that with the partners. Go ahead, Keaton. We tried to go with what?
Oh, go ahead. No, it's stupid.
No, let's hear the dumb name that you were going to name your kid.
The most recent one was going to be Rockwell. Like Porter Rockwell.
Oh, heck yeah.
That is a good
one. But then instead of that, I got a middle name of Reed. So got relegated. Yeah. Anyway.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you know that he's my 5th great grandfather?
I didn't know that.
From his first wife. So.
Wow.
Okay. Not the 5th wife. I don't know how many had.
The first one. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, Thomas. You had 3 partners. At what point did you add a 4th? Because I think sometimes people are growing businesses, they're growing organizations, and they go, hey, maybe there's a single person that started it, a pair or 3, but how did you make the decision to even add a 4th, and what value did he bring?
Yeah, so we kind of for our business with pest control, we kind of did things a little bit backwards, but we knew the people that we were getting into, and so it was kind of worth it to us. Generally, people don't start out being too top heavy and then try to build it from there. They usually start smaller and then they grow bigger, but we knew the capability of each of the people that we brought to the table, so we were willing to go after all of them. When we added the 4th owner, it was a couple months in from when we officially started, and we basically had to wait until he kind of became available. Once we heard that he was no longer working in the same industry but with a different company, then we thought, man, what are the chances that he would maybe do this with us, come over and work with us? And we thought that the chances were pretty slim, but we saw a kind of a we put out, we were just looking for different salesmen and things, operators, and we put out kind of a national ad for that, and then he responded to it, and we were like, oh, okay, well, I guess that answers that. I think he might be open to it. So then we reached out and we brought him over. But just to be clear, he was a guy that we worked with previously before we started Kind Pest Control on our own. It was with kind of a bigger, more nationwide kind of franchise company that we were with.
And picking partners, I think we can oftentimes, and I have a business with Tom. This is part of our business, and we have other things that we do. I think it's easy, and you mentioned before, to pick your best friends. But it's also important to pick people that bring, and probably more important, I know it's more important, that bring people that bring something different, each different to the table, which you mentioned about. What do each of you as owners bring to the table that's different from the other?
Yeah, great question. So the main man, I would say, that is kind of the heart and soul of Kind Pest Control
is you.
It's actually not me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, come on. There's no I in team, but there is a me.
We're all a crucial part of the soul of the company, but he is really at the heart. His name is Chris Lundeen. He is just a master at running efficiently with people, operations. he's literally the best pest control operator in the whole country. I would put him up against any other business and say, show me your branch and I'll show you his branch, and we'll see who runs it better, who has better reviews, better personnel.
And when you say operator, that's all back end stuff. I mean,
yes.
Can you detail that?
Yeah, absolutely. So he literally handles everything. He handles like the day-to-day. He handles hiring, pay. He handles reviews, website. He works with the website team. He just handles everything, daily operations, building the route, making sure the route's efficient, dealing with the employees. If we need any repairs on vehicles or whatever, if we got to meet to pick up supplies, he handles all of that.
And I saw, speaking of that, he must be a pretty good operator, and I must be pretty poor, because you talk about 1,000. You said it's 1,000 accounts right now, around 1,000 accounts.
Yeah.
I think I saw on your Google profile when I was looking earlier, you have like 150 or somewhere near there 5-star reviews. Is that right? Somewhere close to that?
Yeah. So we had some problem with our reviews at the very beginning. Some of the, I guess it's just working out some of the kinks, but the software that we were using we didn't think it was working all that well, because we were missing a lot of reviews. We thought, which when you're so small, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want, like, if you're doing good service and people are appreciative, most people don't say anything, but the ones that do want to say something, if they can't post their review on your company, then it does kind of hurt you a little bit. So we had a little bit of struggles there for the first, I'd say, month or two, but yeah, so should be a little bit more, but yeah, that's kind of where we are.
150 is great. Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely, we got a perfect 5 stars, but don't be deceived. We're definitely not a perfect company. There still are some bugs and things that will pop up every now and then, but we work really hard to make sure everybody's happy. We guarantee all the work that we do at our customers' homes, so that we'll come back at any time and take care of whatever issues that they might have pop up.
So sorry I squirreled you there, but the operator, so Chris Lundeen, operator, what does everybody else bring to the table?
Yes. So the rest of us are basically, we're there to mainly do sales, but then we're also just helping with the direction of the business and the business affairs, but not more the hands-on, more just consulting and that sort of thing.
Give me maybe titles, and maybe that would help me bucket them, right? So Chris, is he like operations director?
Yeah, he's owner operator. I mean,
owner operator. Okay. I mean, each of you are owners. I'm just saying sometimes we've got a good buddy that's part of Solar, right? And he's part of an executive team. Well, great. Let's assume in this scenario, he's an owner, but it's like, great. He's president of sales. Great. He's over sales, right? That's his responsibility to focus on. Or is that, you're giving me a smile like, we don't structure it that way. Stop trying to mess up my company.
No, just with the last company, we all had like our set aside titles and stuff, and it was bigger. This one, we just kind of know what each of our responsibilities are, and we do it. Like right now, we haven't like given each other titles or anything just yet, but we just all call each other owners. We know where our strengths are. So there's one that handles pretty much everything. We've hired a couple people to help him with that. And then the other 3 of us, we just do sales. So I guess full-time sales, but we only allow so far us owners to do sales. We don't outsource to anybody else, door-to-door guys, anything like that.
Wow. And you've already got 1,000 accounts, which did you start out at 0?
Yes. Yeah. Brand new company.
That's always a question I have with Pest is like, or did you break off, or did you go and acquire 200 accounts first?
No, yeah,
right?
it was. We all moved here.
Okay.
When we sold the last branch in Nashville, Tennessee, we signed a non-compete, and one of the business partners, Rhett, he grew up here in Chapel Hill, and we started looking at the market. The market was great. Lots of people were moving here. It was an expanding area. Lots of new homes being built, and the bugs are a huge problem here.
They're bigger. They're bigger than most places.
Yeah. A lot of the South has a lot of bugs, very buggy. But it's really really similar with Nashville's Pest. So something we were already really familiar with. They build the homes the exact same way, pretty much from Nashville to here. So it was just a market that we were comfortable with. We looked at a lot of those logistics and the growth areas, and we decided, no, this was going to be good. And it was Rhett's stomping grounds. And so we decided to make the move.
I might have missed something. Did you guys own a company before in Tennessee together?
Yeah. So half of us were actual technical owners of the branch, like the day-to-day.
Are you included in the us?
No, I was. So I was the owner of the door-to-door program that company utilized. I was like an outside marketing company that only really sold for them, but legally we could probably have sold for anybody. But we were in charge of the summer sales door-to-door. So I wasn't an owner in that company. I was an owner of my own company that company hired to do sales for, but we only exclusively did their sales.
And you closed that door as you moved to North Carolina?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Sold it or closed it?
No, just closed it.
Okay.
Yep.
And that brings me to that thought. What was the risk taken to start, and what was necessary financially, move location wise? What all had to happen to be able to open up Kind Pest Control?
Well, it would have been much more risky if it wasn't for the guys that were proposing it. So that is probably the biggest thing, is just the people I was in. I had already worked with them. I knew them. I knew they were literally the top tier talent in the industry. And so it made an easy decision for me to want to work with them doing business. Now, moving to North Carolina was something that was a little bit risky because we all ended up moving our families here. And this is our new forever home. We want our kids to run this company one day. So, yeah, I guess the risk, we just had to, I don't know. I think we were all just so in on it. When we added the fourth partner, we'd already had established all of the identity type things. We already had our brand, the logo, we had everything. And so I think it was easier for him probably because he could see that those were already in place. All the bugs were worked out, and he just saw the people that he was going to be working with to make it easier. So
starting from scratch, there's no income coming in.
Yeah.
So what about that financial risk moving? And how long did it take for you guys to pay yourselves? I mean, how did that structure work? I know you guys were all owners starting. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're still not profitable because we have put so much into it. Our model is a little bit different. It's something that I don't really think has been done ever, at least the way, quite the way that we've done it, where we're pretty top heavy because we know and we trust each other. We know the volume, we know what we'll be able to do. So to start out, it was about $300K that we bootstrapped. And then since then we've had to about double that. And yeah, we're not really profitable just yet, but adding a fourth partner as well, kind of, and then some key individuals. We have a new person that we just hired as an assistant, basically, to Chris, and she is top tier talent for sure. And all the years that we've been doing this, she is literally the best. So yeah, adding all these new people without really having all of the sales and the growth to back it up all within the first year. Like, we haven't even fully been operating for a full year yet. A little bit backwards from what most people do, probably a little bit too risky.
Yeah, I have so many questions. Lots of questions.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
Definitely probably riskier than what most people do, especially with pest control. It's usually just a single guy goes out. Maybe he might have a business partner. They get one truck. Maybe they'll spray their customers themselves, and they just slowly grow up. But for us, we kind of established the whole frame, all the skeleton, got all the right people in the right places. And then we're just letting people do what they do best. And the growth so far is working really well. We were able to do we're just under 1,000 accounts, but we were able to do that in less than a year with just 3 full-time workers. And then the office, whatever we were getting from referrals or people calling in to the office.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's some of my questions. Me and Keaton are going to I'm pulling a shotgun out. We're going to start, shooting pellets here.
All right.
You're not, I know companies can say they're not profitable, but you're taking a salary. So are you guys paying yourself at least as owners?
Two of us are being paid.
Okay.
The other 2 have not collected a check at all.
Okay. Wow. And I'm assuming the other 2, it's because they sold their company in Tennessee. And so they've got cash reserves. That's my assumption. Awesome. Yeah. Okay. See, I'm following Thomas.
And you talked about bootstrapping. Is that savings account? Is that, I was going to ask too, that sale from the past company?
Mainly the sale. That sale.
And then you said 300,000. You said 300,000 initially, and you said you doubled it, so a total of 600,000 or a total of 900,000.
Yeah, 600. About 600 now. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Go ahead, and then my question was going to follow up with that, with the money, $300,000. Great. Chris sells his company, so does his partner. Great. They bring an influx of cash. How is ownership split? Is it just split on, is it a 25, 25, 25, 25?
Yeah, great question. So no, it's with whatever, it's basically, it goes in line with what we were able to.
So it's monetary based?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. So real quick, I know you're going to go down that line. This would have to do with your 4th partner. You guys already built a brand. You guys already had things kind of somewhat of a, I won't call it a full skeleton, but you guys had the thigh bones in place, right? And maybe a skull, but you're looking here going, hey, we've got something in place. This guy wants in. Did he put in $1,000? Did he put in $10,000? Was he a great impact? Like, what's his percentage now that kind of gets put in?
Yeah. So basically he is, things were already rolling with the branch. We couldn't add too much more, at least with this first branch. Our goal is to take over all of North Carolina. And I think eventually Kind Pest Control will be the top pest control in North Carolina. And then from there, who knows? We might go to other states, but we're leaving it all on the table.
Come to Texas. I'll help you grow in Texas. Just let me have some ownership. I'll push you in Texas.
I worked in Texas for 3 years. I love Texas. Okay. My little brother lives there right now. So anyway, but so the first branch is kind of already set the way it was. There was 2 kind of majority owners, and I was the minority owner because they put in, it was more monetary based, obviously. So the 3rd guy that we've added, he's more of he's a brand owner for sure. He collects a paycheck with this one, and then as we continue future branches, all of us will be more equal partners as it goes on. So basically, and we're all owners.
As it goes on, as you become equal partners, is that based contingent on you putting more influx of cash or just growth? Like, hey, Thomas, you're out selling, you're helping us build accounts, and so that's your sweat equity, I guess you could say.
Yeah. So 2 of us are sweat equity basically right now. Well, one of us right now. In future branches, it will be every branch will take an investment from each person. So depending on how much we can do, we'll split it more evenly per branch. So it'll be respective to each branch. So the next one we'll still have some sweat equity, but probably the other of the owners will be able to put in equal. And then the future one, all will be able to put in. So just kind of as it grows from there, eventually we'll all be basically 25, 25, 25.
Okay. We're talking a lot of ownership here. Let me rewind here and say all 4 of you guys have pest control history of work, right?
Yep.
So talk me through that of maybe were all of you guys kind of go-getter entrepreneurs, already mindset entrepreneurs, with 2 of you. Let me back up. 2 of you are already owners. You own a company in Tennessee. All of you are in pest control. Great. There's some entrepreneurship, but was it easier to make the decision knowing this is something I already know? I already know pest control.
Yeah. So I 100% yes. The two of the other owners, they have done a couple different business ventures, but pest control was their main baby, especially Chris. He's been in it a long time. I think he was with that old company. He was longer than all of us, all the rest, the other three. I think it was like 14, 15 years, something like that. And then I was in it for 9 years. Rhett, who grew up here, he was in it for 10 years until they sold. And then the other owner, Davis, he was, he worked with me in our door-to-door program. So we recruited him and trained him. Since he has definitely kind of developed his own niche and his own style, and he's just a total stud. But so he was with that company, I don't know, 6 years, maybe something like that, 5, 6 years.
Okay. So what would be your advice to somebody, sorry, Keaton, what would be your advice to somebody that is an expert in their field, right? You guys were experts in pest control. Chris was, you were, others. What would be your advice for somebody who's stuck in the 9 to 5, but they're an expert in their job? What was the ultimate decision factor to say, look, I can do this on my own? Or words of encouragement to be like, look, you're an expert. You know everything. Get out there and do it, right?
Yeah, I think if you are, I think you're ready when you get to the point that you are starting to ask questions more beyond your scope of just your work. Like you're wanting to know the whole, how it all works together, how all the cogs turn. And once you figure out all of that, or you're wondering about it and you don't really get much joy in what you're doing, when you can take ownership for sales, for instance, when I was working with people at the old company, I took total ownership. I felt like they were truly my customers, where I was signing them up and I was being paid to sign them up with this company. But at the end of the day, they weren't my customers. But I kind of felt like they were. And I was kind of already stepping into that owner type mindset, just without a lot of that reward or the risk, I guess, at the beginning. But at the end of the day, without the owner type reward. So I would say that if you find yourself like really good at what you do, but you're starting to lose steam, that doesn't really excite you as much anymore, then especially if you figured out how it kind of all works together, I'd say it's time. I'd say if you need to find like-minded people, somebody that you trust to do it with you, then do that. But if you're kind of a lone wolf and you want to just do it on your own, then just go out and do it.
On the flip of that, you guys are flip side of that. You had so much experience. I mean, you're so young. I can't believe you had 10 years already in this company. That's incredible. And so y'all had a wealth of experience. But on the flip side of that, say somebody's listening to this, which no one is. If you're our one follower, please let us know. That'd be great.
Go ahead and hit that smash button. Subscribe,
like and subscribe.
That's right. But for that person listening that doesn't have the 10 years experience, that doesn't know how all the cogs turn, but they say, I want to go be an owner operator. They're super entrepreneurial minded. They're super risk. They're okay with risk. And they want to go start. What would you suggest they do in order to prepare themselves to go start something? Maybe not like on the scale of you guys, because it's pretty mega what you're talking about, but maybe more than one bucket and can guy,
Yeah, we basically created like a super company, and we know that we're going to take off. I would say if you don't know much about how it all works, you would have to at least have some experience. I would say at least to kind of understand how it all kind of flows together. So I would say if you wanted to start a pest control, you can do some research. You can watch YouTube videos or whatever. You can find plenty of free stuff on the web that will kind of aid you to do that. And some guys have done it. I know, done it that way without any experience. Some guys have pivoted from lawn care into pest control, and then now they don't do lawn care anymore. It's just pest. And but if you haven't done it, but you want to, if you don't want to go that route, I think it's safe to try to find somebody that you could at least bounce ideas off of that is either in the industry, who's a friend. If you don't have anyone like that, I would say go work for a pest control company. Go find out what they do. Keep note of things that can maybe be done better or differently that you think that you could stand out with. But I would say just get some background, and as long as you leave on good terms, then if you start your own thing, I would say be open to that be open to them, be fair, let them know that you're wanting to do your own thing, but you don't want to impede their progress. So you'd probably have to move somewhere else. But if you do all that, then you got a forever friend who's been in pest control for a lot longer than you, and you can lean on their wealth, their knowledge, their wealth of knowledge.
And what position would you say go work for them for a year? I'm all about that. I think that's probably the right way to really learn. A salesman and a tech, a back office guy. Where would you suggest they go?
If you can find somebody in operations, because you're going to have to be the operations guy. If you have a good enough service and you're pretty decent with people, then you could start putting on accounts. If you're a great trained salesman, that is huge because that's the lifeblood of the business. So you can definitely, get going real fast in a hurry, add a lot of customers if you're a salesman, but then you're going to have to find somebody who you trust, who can do operations. And if you don't know anything about operations, it's going to be hard for you to tell if they're doing a good job or not, So I would say try to get into operations if you can, especially if you already know how to sell, definitely do operations. I mean, it wouldn't take a few months till you can kind of be like, okay, I think I can do this. And then you'd have what you needed to go get started.
What would you say? I mean, sales, obviously the lifeblood, but you guys took about $300,000 to get started. Now, obviously there's been some supplemental income there as well, right? With another $300,000. Give me the two paths, right? What did you guys spend that $300,000 smart? Let's say if you could rewind, should it have taken all $300,000 to get rolling? And then on the other side, like Keaton asked, somebody just wants to start today, right? What's it going to take them, right? Is it $250? Is it $5,000? What is it? Give me those two paths.
All right. Yeah. So there's probably some things that we could have done a little bit better, but we were paying a lot in rent. It was kind of at the peak of the market. Like those of us who bought homes, very expensive. And the value of those homes has already dropped down below what was paid for them at the time. But it was, again, one of those risks that we knew this was going to fly because the people had already been proven. So we knew that it was going to work out. And so far it's been great. But so probably, we probably could have figured out some ways to spend money, but it was just a lot of expense at the beginning. We did it a little bit different. We could have rented our vehicles. We could have done, less expensive way of getting a brand, but we really spent top dollar on the brand. We want the logo to be good. We wanted our website to be good. So we spent a lot of money on the website, and we own our vehicles. So there's pros and cons to both, but just from doing it, that's what we felt was best. So I would say compared to other like pure startup, because we had already had so much experience in it, I feel like we were pretty efficient with our money, at least with our model. Our model is a lot more expensive at the beginning.
But you would say your model, be ready to go anywhere between $200,000 and $400,000, right? Given a ballpark.
Yeah, if you're going to do it the same way as we did,
top heavy, right? If you're going to come in, build the infrastructure, right? Top heavy, build a framework. You're beyond skeleton. You're starting to hit some muscle. Okay.
What about the opposite? So I know this. Our pest control guy that comes and sprays our office where I work, he is owner operator. Started it, I don't know, 20 years ago or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But him and a bucket and a truck, and he did it all. And he sprays some of his favorite accounts. And of course, we're so lovable. He loves us, and so he still comes.
Your dad's lovable.
he comes and takes care of us still. And I ask him sometimes. But what about that? What would you need to on the very opposite side. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm not going mass. I'm going.
Yeah, is it
Turn.
$10?
Yeah.
Like what are those plastic
Yeah.
little pumps at Home Depot? What are those, $30, right?
Yeah.
Put some Pest in there.
So yeah, if you want to do that, a very small mom and pop shop, you run out of your house, obviously that is going to be a huge saver where you don't have rent or, any a mortgage on a big office building or anything. That's going to be way cheaper. With licensing, renting a truck, slapping a magnet on the side that has your name, probably $10,000 to $15,000 you could get started in pest control.
10 to 15.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. One truck.
I'm willing to take that challenge. I bet I could do it for $2,000.
Do it.
I don't know. What does licensing cost? What does licensing cost? Give me licensing, certifications, whatever you need.
Yeah, I don't quite know all the breakdown of the licensing, to be honest. If you want, I could find out.
But you do need to be licensed. You do, Dawson, can you just do like a search for me, man? What license do I need to be pest control? I know you have to have like chemical licensing almost, right? Because you are messing with chemicals.
Yeah, so it's their state licensing. It starts with the Department of Agriculture. Every state obviously has that. So the North Carolina Department of Agriculture, they split it up into a couple different licensing. There's the structural license, and then there is there's a pesticide division. Kind of seems like they're both kind of redundant. It kind of is, but one has mainly to do with structures, residential and commercial, whereas the other one is more state parks, farming, agriculture, that type of spraying, where it's not really on a structure. So they divide it into those two. We have the structural license, so we do commercial and residential. To start off with a branch, you have to have one licensee. And everybody basically operates under that licensee. And then every individual location that you have, every branch must have a separate one-person licensee that's there full-time, that everybody in that
separate location, separate license.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And they're kind of,
is there a limit to how many people you can have underneath that license?
Great question. I'm not positive on that one.
Totally
I don't know.
Totally fine.
But I know. Yeah.
But before you're spraying yards, if I'm a guy, I'm walking out going, I'm just going to start this out of my garage, I better be licensed.
Yes. Yeah. You have to be licensed for sure. So you have to get your licensee. You have to have a certain amount of hours of training. You have to take a test. And then after that, there's, let's see, what is it called? There's a certified applicator. That's what I am. And that's what all of the other three owners, Chris Lundeen, the main operations guy, he is the licensee. And then after that, you have registered technicians. So you have your licensing, then you have your certifications, and then you have your registered technicians that are applicators as well.
Okay.
And what equipment? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying certified fertilizer applicator, CFA, must successfully complete approved training and submit an online application. Okay. That's for Virginia. That's for Virginia, but I'm sure it applies to North Carolina. Something like that, right? A CFA application.
Yeah. So because it's a fertilizer applicator, that would be under the just the normal pesticide instead of the
different licensing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fertilizer. So right, yeah, we're talking about something whole different for you guys.
Yeah, that's kind of like ornamental. I mean, if they're doing it for ornamental pests like turf and kind of like what a lot of lawn care companies do, that's more like an ornamental.
Well, you guys are doing inside, outside. Okay.
What about
with our licensing that we have, just with that structural license, we can take care of everything, the whole yard, home, parking lot, wherever the pests are, we can take care of that.
What about equipment and product? What do you do?
So this is where the price can change a lot from, 10 to 15K startup to somebody who puts in hundreds of thousands. If you want to just do a hand pump that you carry around, that's going to be the cheapest, and you can just mix it yourself and go around and spray it. All of our trucks, We have rigs that we've welded together that hold our power sprayer, because we want to power spray everything. We want to do volume. We want to do a lot of product on each customer, but then do a lot of customers in a day. So power spray allows us to do a nice tough barrier, gets inside all the little cracks and crevices a lot better because it really drives that product down deep. And it allows us to do more homes in a day because it's quicker. So we can provide a better service. We can do it pretty quickly. It shouldn't take us any longer than it would take for a guy to do less than half of what we spray for the product amount. So not as good as protection. It would take us about that same amount of time by doing a power sprayer. So we have a power sprayer. We have all of our other equipment that is there that is able to be locked down in the back of the trucks. We have our toolboxes there with our supplies that are under lock and key at all times.
Do you have pictures of this on your website, Dawson? Are there pictures on their website of their trucks?
Yeah, I'm sure we do. That or Google, there'll be pictures of the trucks that we have. Yeah.
So is that pretty unique to you all, or do a lot of pest companies do that? I mean, that sounds.
It kind of depends on the state. A lot of trucks have that, but depends on the state. A lot just do backpack sprayers now. It's a lot cheaper than doing a power spray. It can go fast, but the problem is those only hold 2, sometimes only 3 gallons total. So if you want to do 6 to 8 gallons per home, which is what we typically do, then you'd have to refill a couple times to get
6 to 8 gallons.
Yeah.
I am telling you what, when I've had pest control guys, well, I do my own pest control now at home, which you would tell me, Thomas, that's dumb, but I think it's awesome.
No,
regardless,
I
do my own. Yeah, I've just done a bunch of research and talked to a bunch of pest guys. I found a good chemical. I love it. Anyways, normally when I've had pest control guys, which has been a few years, I can't remember the name. It's some long name. Anyways, when I've had pest guys come, dude, I swear they're spraying 5 ounces. They're like, now obviously they're putting a drop in that bucket. But what I'm saying is, like, they go around and pump. They're not spraying 6 to 8 gallons on my stuff, right? They're spraying, I don't know, they might go through half a gallon, maybe.
Yeah. On the initial clean out services, the very first ones, we're doing like 8 to 10 gallons. Wow. And then the maintenance treatments are like 6 to 8. So yeah, we're putting a lot out there, but we treat a lot. All the plants, basically anywhere where there'd be pest activity, we take care of. We're going for results. So we basically spare no expense, and we're not really the budget type company. Like that, if you look at our brand, that's kind of what we were going for. We want to be more the upper middle class to upper class clients, and that's kind of who we work with.
So how did you come up with your pricing? Walk me through kind of your pricing for your clients.
Yeah, so just market research, just knowing what a lot of competitors are charging, seeing the differences in their service.
How'd you find that out? How'd you find out what your competitors were charging?
There's a couple different ways, but a lot of it you can just
got hired on each company and then they just infiltrated.
No, there's a lot that's online. You can find out. You can make calls. You can find out more investigative calls, things like that. But it's pretty easy to find all that out. But what you don't know is how every company is a little bit different in their service, because every company is different. Definitely not all pest control is created equal. So we took kind of that idea of what was kind of more of a market average in the area, because every market, whatever part of the state, different states, it's all going to be a little bit different. The cost of living, you have to kind of take all that into account. And then we also know kind of how the two markets related between Nashville and here and other markets that we had worked in and before Nashville. So we kind of had an idea with inflation, what worked and what people would be able to do, and then what the prices were kind of here. And then we based on that. Definitely not the most expensive, but we're not the cheapest either.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, right. When you buy it cheap, what I say, buy it right or buy it twice. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So sometimes you can go ahead and go cheap and you go a whole year and you're just like, man, this pest control sucks. So tell me your pricing. Yeah. What do you guys charge right now?
So we do, there's kind of a range, depends on the size of the home, but I would say and it also depends on what promotions we're running or how many, services we're doing in the area. It's good business practice.
Yeah. Give me the broad. Yeah, give me the broad.
So on a
like, you know,
home,
small
let's see,
home, medium,
between
large.
between like 2,000 to 4,000 square foot home in kind of a normal, kind of a planned community where the lots are probably under half acre, quarter acre, something like that. Under that, we're probably talking like 100 and maybe 139 to 159, somewhere in there would probably be.
And that's a quarter, right?
Per quarter, yeah.
Right.
Per quarter.
Okay.
Yep. By today's standards, we'll see with all this inflation going on and stuff.
That's
but
right.
yeah, somewhere in there. I mean, there's a lot that
so
kind of goes into it when we price it out. When we give estimates, there's a lot that goes into it. But
yeah, $500 to $600 a year, right? Maybe $650.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Not bad. Very manageable. So you talked about how you do it and the application. What about the actual product? Is yours proprietary? I can't say that word. Proprietary.
Proprietary.
I mean, yeah. Could you tell us
good question. So
how you make it?
Yeah. And maybe this is where people get the idea that a lot of pest control is basically the same, but it's not. All the products are basically available to anybody who has a license to get them, but they're at different costs, different expenses, and so it just kind of depends on what you're able to do. We pay top dollar for the number one product on the market, especially in a wet climate like where we are here in North Carolina. It rains more than any of our other branches that we've ever worked in. So we wanted something that would hold up the whole time while we were away from that customer, so that we wouldn't have to do as many reservices in between. We wanted it to be a good quality product that would last through the rain. So yeah, there's no proprietary really. You just have to have the licensing. If you have the licensing, you can buy, any of the products that any other company has. But depending on what company a homeowner would go with, it would kind of change what product they're getting on their house. It just depends on what their business model is. Everyone's got to, be profitable. There's different margins with each of those. So you never know exactly, what product. Not every company sprays the same product, even though everyone has the same access basically to all the same products.
Now, are you able to buy the product? I'm not saying, I say off the shelf, but are you able to buy the product and not have to do any mixing other than just solution through water?
Some, yeah.
Okay.
Some are already, there's different kinds. There's some like that are aerosols and things like that are already. There's some types that are already they're ready to go, like granules for granules. There's different kinds. There's a clay-based, kind of more organic type granule. And then there's some that's basically just like sand. It's just treated sand. It's sand that's been treated with the insecticide. You put it in a hopper, you spread it out on the customer's yard. So there's some that's already pre-mixed, ready to go. And there's others that you buy in bulk that's concentrate that you would mix.
Yeah. And you talked about access to this product that everybody can have it. Who has it? Who do you buy it from?
So by everybody, I mean like there's some that are restricted use that only just the licensees can treat.
Okay.
So you can't have a normal technician do some of those type products, but just without getting too much into the details, basically as long as you are a legal business, that means you do have a licensee. So you're able to get all the same products as anybody else pretty much. But whether that makes sense financially for your business, depending on what your model is, and whether you're the one spraying it or not, would determine if the customers are getting that high quality product.
Well, Thomas, give me the nitty gritty. Who's the producer of the product?
Right.
Like who do you go to buy it from? If I go Google search this company, who are you buying it from?
Yeah, there's a few different chemical companies. Bayer is one. Syngenta is one. They're probably like the two big ones.
Syngenta and
Syngenta. Yeah, Syngenta, they're a big one. I mean, there's a lot. There's some that don't deal as much in insecticide, but they do more like rodents and things like that, different rodenticides. But there's a lot. I would say those are like the two big ones for the actual main sprays that people use, the liquid product that they're putting out on your house. Probably those two. But there's other ones too. Bayer, you know Bayer, they make aspirin and
paint. No, there's
No,
Bayer and then
that's
there's Bear. That's who I was
that's a
thinking of.
yeah.
BHR and
Bayer,
BAYE.
B-A-Y-E-R.
Yeah.
Sorry. I should have known the
Gosh dang it,
Tennessee
Tom.
accent coming through.
Yeah.
I
Where
was
are
like,
you?
Bear
He's
does
from Snowflake.
paint.
He's from Arizona.
Well,
Yeah.
still, he lived in Tennessee for a long time. He's picking up the Southern draw, my friend.
And before Tennessee, we worked in Houston for 3 years. So
Yeah, there you go. See, Southern draw. See that? Okay, that's
What do you-
interesting.
So building clientele right now, how you guys are structured, are you going out and knocking doors? How's it working?
yeah, so basically we are in charge of individual routes. And so we want to try to make the routes as efficient as possible. So when my technician shows up in a neighborhood, instead of just doing 1 or 2 customers in that neighborhood, and then we have to send them all around town to the different neighborhoods to fill up his route, we can have him stay in one neighborhood all day and just maximize his time by getting the most amount of customers treated that day while he's there. And so there's 3 of us that are doing that full time. So basically what we would do is we would go to the areas, and if there's any of any neighbors around our other customers that we have who haven't yet had an opportunity to try us out, who could definitely use it, we go and talk to them first. If they need it, then great. If not, that's no problem. They're dealing with the owners, so they know that we're not going to be rude to them or be mean.
Because reputation matters.
100%. Yeah.
And will you continue that model as you grow, owner only contact? I mean,
until basically we would just become a supplemental form of customers, because our branch is producing so well on its own, just through word of mouth, through online advertising, through reviews, that sort of thing. So as of right now, that's our plan.
Which, beyond door knocking, you mentioned marketing. What kind of marketing are you doing?
Right now, it's mainly just making sure that our reviews are looking good, and that it's just about image. When we go to do the service, we do just referrals from our customers, and then the 3 of us knocking doors. That's it. That's all we're doing.
You guys aren't doing like Facebook ads or
not yet.
Like okay.
Not yet. No, we will though. Definitely, that's in the books. We want to really kind of dominate that space as well. But for now, we want to really get the numbers up, and the fastest way that we know how is with what we've been doing.
How do you get those reviews? Like I said, for our insurance agency, when I started working for my dad a little over 3 years ago, he had exactly zero Google reviews. And I've gotten him to have 70 through what I've done, and he thinks I'm amazing. But you guys have gotten, and you guys have gotten 150 in just several months. How are you petitioning those reviews?
Yeah, so we just basically do it on our own. It's a totally different experience for a homeowner when you're dealing with an owner of a company that is like, we will take care of you, we'll get it done. It's way different from a door knocker guy from out of state who's never lived there, doesn't know anything about the bugs or even the company that he's just contracted to work with for those few months, and different from the one he worked with last year or the one he'll work in the following year. So it's a whole different experience, and we bring it up to him. I say, hey, if you're happy with the service you received today, would you consider leaving us a good review? That really helps us out. We're a new local company, starting up. We'd really appreciate it, and that's it. A lot of people, they're just great. There's no incentive really. There's just they're kind people. They're our customers. They're our kind customers.
Kind people.
All the plug
that
there.
Is a brand right there.
And do you have,
dude?
And do you have a card with a QR code to your Google business profile? I mean, what do you do there?
Yeah. So it's actually funny that you bring that up, because that's actually on the books for this week that we're doing. Yeah, we have QR codes. We've talked about it for a couple weeks. But yeah, there'll be a QR code either to the website or to the Google reviews, so they can just look at us and check out all the information. But yeah. There it is.
It is Thomas. It is a clean website. I will give you that.
We're happy with it, but we're actually going to be in 1 year from now, this website will be totally different.
Okay.
This year we have some big plans that I can't release just yet, but
sure.
it's,
No,
I mean, it's
nobody's hearing. It's just us.
And it's functional. It's clean. This is what we wanted, but we're gonna do some big things to kind of help with the image.
Well, I'll give you $1 if you'll put WIT and just say sponsored by WIT on there. No, your logo and brand look really, really clean. I like it.
Yeah, we have we've partnered with One Tree Planted, which is a global nonprofit.
Yeah, I've heard of them. They're amazing.
Yeah, dude, they're
yeah. Pull them up, Dawson. Give them a shout out too, dude.
Shout out to those guys. They're amazing. Basically, they just plant trees all over the place, mainly dealing with reforestation efforts due to forest fire or disease and pest control related loss. And one of the areas that they opened to us that we could plant is the Appalachian Mountain Range right here in North Carolina. So we were like, yeah, it's a match made in heaven. Let's do it. So that's what we do. We sponsor one tree for every time a customer's home is serviced. And so we felt like that was just perfect with our brand, just kind of giving back to the environment. We're taking away the bugs, but don't worry, we're not hurting Mother Nature. We use, responsible products anyway, but just in case, we're also planting a tree. So after a customer's been with us for a few years, they'll have just this little mini forest of trees that they've helped to plant just by choosing us and allowing us to be their bug guys.
I love that.
And if any other pest control companies start doing that, just know that we were the OGs. We were the very first.
That's right, OGs. So, shout out to Kind.
We're the first.
They're all over the world, huh? That's cool.
All over the world. Yep.
That's great. What so I don't know if this is prying into some of your plans, but it's important, obviously. Search engine optimization.
Yeah.
Google rankings. Is this part of what Chris does? Do you pay for a service? Chris handles that. There are different firms that will kind of help you with that, and I think that that's really smart. Oh, I thought I was going to sneeze. Went away. It's really smart for sure. SEO is such a big thing. We haven't focused as much on that just yet because we're growing just fine. We've been able to do just enough to be at like pretty much full capacity. So there's not really much waste. We don't need to hire a new person, although as the introduction that Tom gave, we are going to be hiring at least probably 2 guys here within the next couple of weeks just to kind of help with the volume. But eventually, we want to focus on that. I think, I'm not sure exactly where we are, but we're not super high up there.
I mean, when I started to type you guys in, if I literally just go to my Google search bar and just type in Kind Pest, like it fills in the rest, right? Like Kind Pest Control.
But the test is if you do Raleigh Pest Control.
Yeah, if you do Raleigh Pest Control or Pest Control Wake Forest or Pest
But
Control.
like you said, you're near max capacity anyway, so that doesn't need to be a focus, and you're relying on your word of mouth and your
Eventually that will be huge. In Nashville, it's funny because we're so top heavy. Some things we did a little more risky than what you would, but the other things were really calculated. Like in Nashville, we kind of know the growth. We know when we're able to handle something like that. And in Nashville, we were number 1 on that. Anyone searched pest control, that company popped up every time. So eventually we'll be there for sure. But as of right now, we're okay with where we are, but we're going to be working on that for sure.
Tell me a few more of the tools you guys use. I know you've got probably some proprietary stuff you don't want to share with your competitors, but like, are you guys using QuickBooks? Like, how do you run your business? What kind of tools, operating systems, project management boards? What are you running with?
Yeah, there's a couple different, there's not a ton, but there's a couple different options that are mainframe softwares for pest control that you can run everything off of. You can do customer contracts with them. You can schedule. You basically can run the whole thing.
These are out of the box softwares that you're purchasing from another company.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So who you guys use? Who's your running?
As of right now, we're using one that almost everybody uses just because it's been around the longest. It's called Field Routes is their new name. I've used them from the very beginning when they were just a text service for door-to-door guys way back. They were text routes. So shout out to those guys. Nice. I've been with you for a long, long time, but pretty much everybody uses them. Yeah. For pest control, a lot of guys use those, but there's a few other ones out there. Some pest controls have kind of devoted part of their company to just doing software, trying to work out their own software. And then
some people want to make their own app or do things like that, right? Yeah. Which just to me means, more dollars.
Okay. Some have their own app, but then they still use this for like their main operating system.
What about back office? Does that handle your back office too, like your financial tracking and everything too?
No, we use QuickBooks.
Okay. Yeah. QuickBooks is pretty standard.
Yeah, it's an easy one. There's a lot of options. Not saying that we're not open to different options. That's what we use right now.
Do you all as a leadership team and owners use a software between the four of you? Slack or you just have a group text message?
No, just a group text. As we grow and expand, we don't really know quite what's going to happen if we live in different areas or something. Then something like that, if it's needed, we might do it. But as of right now, we just have a group text.
What about like Google Drive? Do you share like all your files in there or something?
Yeah, we use Google Drive. Google Drive's good.
Cool. Yeah, I like Google Drive.
And do you allow any Android users in your group text?
Just say no. The answer is always no.
We don't have any right now.
The deal breaker.
Our phones are a business expense, so they're all the same phone basically.
Okay.
And they're iPhones.
Yeah.
Good. I want that blue text message to come through. Blue and gray.
Yeah, it's really that, and the group text is just the only annoying thing. I actually converted to iPhones, but not total willingly, because I loved the Samsung operation, but I don't like how it places you as a second-class citizen when the bubble is green and not blue. So
for sure it does. It's like
that part,
you don't get enough service out here, buddy. So you're green today.
Yeah, that part was annoying. I did like the smartphones a little bit better than the iPhone, but I've used the iPhone for so many years now that I'm kind of gotten used to it. So
you love it now. It's okay. Now you have a MacBook and an iPad, and
it was weird. I used an iPad and I had a MacBook, forever, all through college, but I just stuck with the Samsung phones because that was like my first smartphone that I had, and I just got used to the different swipes and stuff. It was way quicker to get to things. But anyway, iPhone's all right. I like it now. I'm cool with
taking over the world. That's what they're doing.
Well, Thomas, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
I want to ask you before we get off here, you already kind of mentioned it. You guys had so much knowledge in starting this. There's not anything you'd really do differently than you had. But before getting into this industry as a whole, knowing what you know now, how would you start differently? What would you do differently?
Yeah. I would be much more careful with who you went into business with. And I would ask a lot of questions before you took next steps. So if you go from one level in the organization to the next, I would make sure that you got plenty of help and that resources were there to help you to be successful within that company.
And so you're saying
vague, I guess.
Yeah, you're saying asking like knowing the top brass really well. Is that what you're saying? Yeah,
or just making sure that they're available to you, that they're willing to kind of sit down with you. Like if you've never budgeted for a business, or really tried to plan out a business that way, if you don't really know how to do numbers, you need to make sure that if the company is like, okay, we're going to give you this promotion and you're going to have to do all these things, you need to know that they're going to help you with that there's somebody there who can say, okay, this is how we do our books, this is how you would budget, this is how you can plan for your expenses, so on and so forth, instead of just trying to figure out everything on your own, because that is way too expensive and it takes way too much time. So I'm really grateful for the path that I had. It led me to my amazing business partners that I have now. So I don't really have too many regrets. I've probably wasted way too much money putting my trust in just hundreds of different people over the years that I probably shouldn't have, that ended up costing me more money. People who, I don't know, took me for a ride a little bit, but it's been good overall. I'm happy with where we are now. So I can't really complain too much. You can't really have regrets if you learn,
Oh,
regrets are just something you haven't learned from yet. So
that's part of the mission of life, that we believe for sure. And no matter what path you take, but if we can make the path a little less bumpy for the next person that comes along with what we know, that's what this whole show is about and what we want to share with others. So thank you for your expertise, your knowledge you shared, and especially your time. I know time is valuable. So we really appreciate the time you've given us tonight.
Yeah, of course. Happy to come back anytime.
Cool. Thanks, Thomas. Dawson, hit it, man.